Hey guys, this is Spin Rinse. I'm doing another project. I'm making Riku's Way to the Dawn Keyblade, and this time I'm going to be making it out of foam board, the big blue thing behind me, instead of out of wood. A lot of people have asked how I do the little details and like the bumps and raises and stuff on wood, and the answer is I don't. I'm not that good with the kind of drills that would do that to wood, and I'm also not very good with like Sculpey clay and things that I've seen people put over them and sand down. Neither of those are my forte. Sorry. So I'm actually trying this out to achieve that same effect that I can't do with wood. So this is foam board. You want to pick it up at Lowe's or another large hardware store. You're probably not going to find it at a place like Michael's or Joann's, because while it is styrofoam, it's also technically insulation. So the good thing about that is that it's smooth and kind of squishy soft like foam, but it's not as soft as florist foam, that green stuff where you could just like give it a good smack and it would like crumple. You also don't want to use the regular like white styrofoam, because if you've ever really looked at it, you'll notice that it's made up of tons of those little beads, and when you cut it, it flakes off really easily, so it's not going to hold form. It's not a very strong core for what we want to do. Master's a little bit taller than me, so while I made my Keyblades, I think I made them 3 feet, and she's taller, so I'm going to make this about 3.5 feet because I think that'll really suit her. And so you want to get your foam and either make yourself a stencil, which is what I originally tried to do, but Kinko's couldn't make it like big enough, or you can freehand it. What I ended up doing, and this is your very stupid kind of jank third option, is that I went into Photoshop, I put a picture in of Way to the Dawn, I blew it up to the height and width that I wanted. 3.5 feet is 42 inches, and in a program like Photoshop you can put in a certain number of inches and blow it up to that size. And then I printed out tons of the parts of the picture, cut them out, and kind of puzzle piece them together, so they looked kind of like this, which is kind of silly, but it worked. And I placed them the way that I wanted. I made a few changes. I made some parts thicker because I was afraid that they wouldn't be sturdy enough. Yeah, so I made it the way I liked it, and I stenciled it on. So yeah, step 1, buy board, stencil. Okay? Good. Hey guys, this is, I've cut out my piece, and I've sanded it as much as I can tolerate sanding. I'm done sanding. So what I did, this is the piece, and first I cut it out and it was just plain, and it occurred to me that it was stupid to draw it on lightly with a pencil and just try and cut by the outline when I could draw the entire thing on with marker. So I did. So that was really helpful for me because I could see all the details and where I wanted to carve and stuff. I tried it with an X-Acto knife, and I was really hard because X-Acto knives are just not that long. So I ended up cutting it with like a steak knife, like a little knife, and like it was so labor intensive, just like chopping and sawing. But it worked well, and it did a pretty nice cut. And then I took a like medium grain, maybe on the coarser side, sandpaper, and went over all the sides, and they're not perfect. I don't know how well you can see, but it's still like got a little bit of divots and things in it, but it's mainly smooth and flat, and that's really all I want, because next I'm going to paper mache it. But before we get there, so I drew on the detail that I wanted, and I sanded down places where I wanted it to be raised. I didn't do massive amounts of detail just because I'm not sure how much of that is going to translate and be really noticeable after it's paper mache, and I'm pretty confident that I can do some nice
painting as well that will give it some depth. So just in general, like the main parts that you can tell have been sanded down, and I put a little detail where the feathers are on the wings, and up around here I sanded it down a little bit. And I definitely recommend sanding down the handle, because it was like 2 inches wide, and then, as I said before, it's 2 inches thick, so it's like a big block, and it's not comfortable to hold. And now you can see my hand fits perfectly around it. So that's really nice. And yeah, so it's pretty much sanded out. And I don't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to a friend, and she suggested Mod Podge as opposed to paper mache. I've never Mod Podged, and I haven't paper mache'd since I was like 7 or something. So we'll see how that works out. And I'll let you know how things are going after that next step, okay? I used Mod Podge. It's matte. It's a water-based sealer. It's basically glue. It's just like a non-flower paper mache. I cut out a ton of strips, and I paper mache'd. I only did 1 layer, and then I covered all of it in a thick layer of glue. And then I took a latex interior exterior water-based sealer and primer, and it was white, and I've covered the entire thing, so it looks like a big white Keyblade. And next I would get some paint and start going at it. And I do recommend doing the white first, because it's a sealer and it's a base, so it does a nice job of covering up, like, you can't see any of the newspaper underneath there. And so it's nice to have that base, and then it'll probably take less of the colorful paint to cover it up, since it already has a nice base. So I would start painting. Can you see my little thumbs up? Go for it! So just to clear up any questions that I didn't answer in the video, I'm really sorry that I didn't film myself painting. It took me a little bit of time to do, because I was strapped for cash, so I used really old acrylic paints I had lying around, which I don't necessarily recommend. So the colors are not exact, and I didn't show myself painting because it was kind of inexact. I tried to follow the colors as closely as I could, but I like how it turned out, but it's not perfect. And I really recommend that you just play around. I ended up using acrylics, which I also wouldn't necessarily recommend. If I had an unlimited money, I would have used, I would have used, something oil or latex based, because it's not water soluble. So I didn't address that, but that's what I think. So back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay? Alrighty, it is all painted and it's drying up. And next thing you're gonna do, the last thing you're gonna do, is get some sealer. This is an acrylic clear gloss sealer. It's a spray can, dries in 10 minutes, blah blah blah. Once this is all dry, give it multiple coats, 2 or 3. It's quick dry and the coats are thin, so that'll probably do it. And then I think you're good. And I realized very belatedly, and I apologize, that I forgot to do the little chain thing. But if you're doing it, just poke a hole, chain, create the little heart emblem the same way you did this, attach, you're done, you know. So I think that's pretty much it, and that's how I decided to make Riku's Keyblade. Thanks.